Hi, Elena.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How's the new job?
Well, so far so good. I'm basically just in like some training, like virtual trainings right now. But it's all really exciting. It's exactly the content that I want to be learning and that I want to be in. So I know. I'm so
Are
excited.
you making more money than your previous job?
Yeah.
Bonus. Well, maybe,
Super bonus. Yeah.
yeah, they're both bonuses. Yeah. When you do what you're interested in and you get more money. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy for you. So you're remote right now while you're training?
Yes. I will be remote with the job
Oh,
period.
you
Yeah.
will. Oh,
hmm
okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Were you
Yeah.
before?
I was. Yeah.
No. Okay.
And I left that other job actually right in the nick of time because the my coworker that's still doing my job, half of it, because we worked together, um, she said that things have already changed, that they're changing their hours and that they're having to come in more. So I was like, I'm so glad I pieced out on that.
Nice. Good for
Yeah.
you. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, this is the first night that we're making the adjustment to being the wholeness haven. I'm really excited about this. I have wanted to do changes for a while, and I know I had said to you guys a while ago I was going to do a survey or something like that. And instead, I actually came across this post from a former coach of mine about like how to make decisions about what you want included and not included in your membership. And like, of course, I want it to be of value to everybody, but also it has to work for me. And I wasn't kind of thinking, I mean, I guess I was thinking of both of those things, but somehow she just gave like a set of questions. I was like, yes, no, yes, I'm going to do this. No, I'm not going to do that. And it just seemed to work for me. So I'm really excited about it. And now that I'm doing monthly themes, I know that you haven't known me for very long, but I just this idea of having a monthly theme for everything for my podcast, for my newsletter, for social media, for this group, workshops, and all that stuff just is like, and I've had people propose the idea to me before, but it felt like jail to me in the past, and now it feels like freedom. So,
Isn't it funny how things change?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Same thing with the food plan. Like I'm in recovery for compulsive overeating. My food plan feels like freedom to me because I just eat what's on the plan and I don't have the bullshit in my head about all the other things. Whereas in the past, it's been like, oh, I'm on a fucking diet, you know? And now,
hmm
well, I'm certainly hoping that some of the other, however many people, I think there's like 14 or 15 potential people, um, for the group will show up. But if not, you're going to get some private coaching. So we will definitely wait at least a couple more minutes. So
Sure.
just tonight's theme, or for the month, the theme is personal boundaries. So we're going to be talking about so the icebreaker question, you don't need to answer it now. Oh, good. Hey, Lauren, is what's one thing that helps you feel emotionally safe with others? And then the prompt we're going to do for the discussion is going to be where in your personal life do you notice yourself giving when you don't want to, and what boundary would protect your energy there? So those are the things we'll be talking about. Hey, Lauren,
Hey,
how you
I'm
doing?
uh I'm good. I'm driving home, so I'm
Okay. Okay, so you'll be off video for a
participating
little
as
bit.
best I
Got
can.
it. Okay, wonderful. So I was just saying to Elena, I'm really excited because this is the first night of the official Wholeness Haven, which I had originally wanted to call it Haven of Wholeness. And Chuck was like, why not Wholeness Havening? You got the alliteration, throw that other word out. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. But I still keep wanting to say Haven of Wholeness because that's what I first came up with. So. And I'm really excited. I can't remember if I told you guys this, but I'm really excited about it. Like, because I live in New Haven and everything around here is Haven. We got West Haven, East Haven, North Haven, and then like everything in New Haven is like Cat Haven, Paw Haven, Haven Lee. Like, so that, and then the wholeness part because of my like fragmented to whole podcast feels really good. So, all right, it's 8:05. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So welcome everybody to Wholeness Haven. I'm really excited you're here. I do want to take a couple minutes to go over some like new, like I guess you would call them logistical things. So the way that we're going to still do 2 live calls, first and third Wednesday. So the first week of the month, that's tonight, is what I'm calling a connection and reflection call. It's going to be very similar to the calls we did in the Guilt Free Guild. The second week of the month, you're going to get an email letting you know this is this month's bonus. It's going to be something on theme, like maybe like a boundary script pack or something like that. It'll be on theme. The third week of the month will be a live call, and that's what I'm calling integration and practice. So that's going to be more workshoppy kind of call. And then the fourth week of the month, you're going to get the whole VIP replay package from whatever that month's workshop is. So you can still come live to those workshops. You do have to register for free on Eventbrite if you're going to come live to that, but you're going to get the replay, the slide deck, whatever handouts were given out during the workshop. And then there's always like a upgrade VIP bonus something. So you'll get all of that stuff. So my intention is to email you to say, hey, those bonuses are on in the Wholeness Haven Hub. Hey Nat, so glad you're here. So for I know Lauren, when she was my private client, we used Trello. I'm not sure if either Elena or Nat are familiar. Either of you familiar with Trello? It's an online bulletin board. It's like super user friendly. So, so Nat, welcome. This is our first night of Wholeness Haven. So I'm like really excited. I'm going over some logistical stuff just to get started. So I actually, why don't I open it? I didn't even think to do this, but I'm going to open up the Wholeness Haven Hub. So the platform Trello is free. So you will have to sign up for an account to get access to it. And so let me just show you what it looks like. So it's basically like a bulletin board. And you don't really need to do anything. So I have put a link into the Telegram chat, and I just figured out today that you can pin certain things in the chat. So I pinned the link to this board. So if you have access to the Telegram channel, then you don't need to remember anything. You could just click that link and it will take you here. And I also put a link to the Zoom meeting in there too and pinned that. So you can always just go here. So these are, not that you need to know this, but these are each called lists. And then these white things are called cards and they're movable, but you're not going to be doing any of that. So if you want to know, like, what are the dates of the meetings coming up, I've just put them in for the next, for the rest of this year. And then if you want to know, well, what's the theme for each month? Here we go. There's the theme for each month. I'm going to be recording these calls now, which we didn't do in the past. And I'm going to put the link to the recording here. So if you can't make a meeting, you can come back and watch it. And then here's your monthly perks. So September just finished, and this is the beginning of Wholeness Haven. So I already put everything from September in here. So the theme was workplace boundaries. And so there's one of the bonuses is called Boundaries for Professional Women. So you'll see that that's attached right here. And all you have to do is if you click on it, you can look at it if you want to just look at it, but you can also click here to download it. Is everybody with me? Is this okay? And then I did a workshop that was called Beyond Burnout, Start Setting Boundaries at Work that stick. And I see that I have a typo there. And as Elena can attest, I forgot to turn the fucking record on until about 3/4 of the way through. So I went back and recorded the whole thing solo. So you'll want to watch that because you'll hear all the preamble and stuff. But I really encourage you to also watch the partial live workshop replay because then you get to hear the comments people making, the questions they asked, the coaching that I did, and all that stuff. And then all of the the things that people what they got in the workshop, which is attached here, is 20 workplace boundary scripts. And then when do you say yes handout? Then for the VIP package, there's a bonus workplace boundary script and then a 7-day action plan. There's also the slide deck from the PowerPoint slides. And then I gave some links in the workshop. So that's everything. So this is just going to stay here. If you want to download this stuff, you're welcome to do that. So before I hop off of here, does anybody have questions about this? Okay. And if you do, just message me in Telegram and I'll answer them. So it's really user friendly, but if you have questions about it anytime, just let me know. And then the other thing, I have the guilt-free guild. I wanted to call us like the members of the guilt-free guild something. And I'm like, well, and usually it's like an I would think it would be a play on words on the name of the group. And I was like, guilders. No, that sounds dumb. And like guilties. No, we're not doing that. So I just was like, whatever, we're members. But I came up with Haven Lights as the name. So we're all Haven Lights in here. And so that means that we're a guiding light for ourselves and for other people. And together we shine brighter. So I love that notion of being a shining light. I think of a lot of my life before recovery. I lived like in the deep, dark, dank basement of my life, which was like all moldy and mildewy. And like when sunlight comes into that, it's so, so healing. So I love that metaphor. Um, Okay, so I think that's all the logistical stuff that I want to share. Does anybody have any questions before we dive into like the icebreaker and all that stuff? Okay, great. Well, tonight's icebreaker question is, what's one thing that helps you feel emotionally safe with others? And the first thing that pops into my mind is if they share with me at approximately the same level of vulnerability. So if I meet someone who's constantly like asking me stuff, but then they're blocking me when I ask them things, I do not feel emotionally safe with that person. So they need to share at approximately the same level of vulnerability with me. How about the rest of you? What's one thing that makes you feel emotionally safe with others?
I think that I would have to say when it's kind of a lack of something that they do is when they don't share other people's business.
Mm. Oh, okay.
I think that's a big thing about like
Mm,
they can keep those secrets so then I feel safe than giving them mine.
love it.
Because I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, did you hear something
Mhm.
something?" And then you're like, "Okay, you can't keep a secret, so I cannot tell you anything."
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to be like that, but I didn't realize that that was called gossip. So, yeah. How about you, Nat and Lauren? What's one thing that makes you feel emotionally safe with others?
Is this something they do or something that I do?
Um, I think you can answer it however you want.
Well, when it's like when how other people respond when I tell them something. So if they say, "Oh no, that's okay, it's totally fine," like let's say like I feel bad or sad, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, like you're gonna be okay." Like they're comforting
Okay.
and not judging and not criticizing, but they're like comforting, like, "Hey, it's okay, whatever you're going through, it's gonna be okay." Like
Mm-hmm.
it's comforting.
Mm. Yeah. That makes for good friends. How about you, Lauren? Are you in the position to be able to share?
And actually, the word when you asked the question, Barb, that came to mind before you even said what it was for you was vulnerability,
Mhm.
because I just feel so much more at ease with someone who is able to drop their mask, and
Mhm.
show me like, the real them, and then I feel safe being the real me.
Mhm.
So if I sense that someone is like, just giving me a persona, or, like a polished, curated version of themselves, I don't feel safe, and I don't, it's draining for me to be around that, I find.
Right. Yeah, yeah, good. Okay, great. So we're still doing pulling a card. So this is the first week of the month. I'm gonna pull from the language of letting go. So let me just shuffle a little bit and we'll see what the universe brings to us. Okay, oh, look at this. Maintaining boundaries. This is not like I'm not a magician. Today, I will gain a new awareness of those areas where I need healthier boundaries. I will release my naive assumption that the other person is always right. I will exchange that view for trusting and listening to myself and setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. So I will take a picture of that and put it in the Telegram. Oh my God, the two T's. I get those two confused all the time. And I'll read it again, but let me just pop it in there. There we go. Okay. So today I will gain a new awareness of those areas where I need healthier boundaries. I will release my naive assumption that the other person is always right. I will exchange that view for trusting and listening to myself and setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. So I actually always assumed I was right. So I'm kind of the opposite. Um, and I now know that I actually don't know everything and I'm not always right. And it's okay for me to say, I don't know, or, hmm, you may be right. That's what came up for me when I heard it. Anybody else have a comment they want to make?
Yeah, this is definitely me. I'm like naive that I think the other person is right, especially when I'm overwhelmed or tired or like I just can't think clearly. I'm like, okay, you take the lead, you're probably right. But then it ends up they're not. And then I get really angry.
Mhm.
And I even had a dream about that one of my close friends and mentors in my dream was like, oh yeah, let's do this, let's do this. I'm like, I really don't want to. So no, no, trust me, it's fine, it's fine. I'm like, okay. And then I was like, what the heck? Like, I don't want to do this. Like, I was so angry. So this is definitely a pattern that I'm working to resolve, like trusting and listening to myself. Like
Mhm.
it's the red flags are always so strong, but it's like, no, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. Like you always give them the benefit of the doubt,
Mhm.
but I think the doubt should be stronger.
Yeah. So, what you did in your dream, would you ever have done that in real life?
No.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know, like for me, sometimes we got to try shit out in the subconscious, in the dream life first, before we can, make it come to fruition in real life.
Mm.
So, at the dream version of Nat, who was like, I really don't want to do this, like, how did she feel saying that? Can you recall?
Well, it's almost like I have a little bit of a tolerance level to see like like how far I'm willing to
Mhm.
stick with their plan before
Mhm.
I get like really uncomfortable. Like, no, that's too much. So
Mhm.
it's like they're asking me to trust them, and I want to. Like, I really want to trust people.
Mhm. Right. Let's say, let me just tell you my own experience. So I used to trust people who were untrustworthy all the time. And I acted like, well, if I just love them enough, they'll turn into trustworthy people. And what I've learned is to put trust into people who are trustworthy. And part of the reason I learned that, like part of the ability to do that in my 50s, was building self-trust. Because when I built trust with myself, I got to experience what it was like to be trusting and what it was like to be trustworthy. So I could see both sides of that. So I could spot it from experience. And frankly, the way that I built self-trust was the boundary building process because I started showing up for myself, following through for myself, putting trust in myself in ways that I never did before. And I also want to say this whole boundary building process is experimental. Like you are going to make mistakes. That's just the facts. And that's part of the process. Like falling off of a bike is part of the process of learning how to ride a bike. You know, screwing up when you set a boundary is part of the process. It just is. And you don't, you, and it's not just building boundaries, that's experimental, but where does my boundary go is also experimental because you, if you knew what your limits were, you'd know what your limits are, and you don't. So you try them out and you'll be like, next time I think I need to be a little looser, or next time I need to be a little tighter. And to complicate things even further, you're not going to have the same boundary in every circumstance. So if you have a super, like, I'm in a really good mood, I have lots of high energy, your boundary is going to be different than on a day that you're super low energy and depressed.
That is so true.
Right. And it's, you know, sometimes you have like high energy and you're like, I have the wherewithal to withstand and hold up to this boundary. And other times it's like, I'm so fucking depressed. I have to hold this boundary. You know, it's not like it's always when you have high energy, it's easier to set boundaries, or you might not care so much when you have high energy. So, you know, there's experimentation that goes. Elaine, glad you're here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just not feeling too great, but
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well,
yeah.
we're just we did our icebreaker, and then I don't know if you have access to the Telegram chat, but I just put the card we just picked, and we're just sharing about the card, which is, guess what, about maintaining boundaries, and that's just by chance. It's the card I picked.
Okay.
Anybody else have something come up on the card they want to share about?
I feel like my assumption is that if there's another person around, that like that is how my needs get met. It's like as soon as I'm with someone else, suddenly I can't meet my own needs anymore. They need to be met through this other person. And I forget that I can exist as an independent entity. It's weird.
Yeah. I imagine there's other people that can identify with that. So, um, let me ask you this, Lauren. Is it like I'm gonna get my needs met by them affirming me and being okay with me?
Um, I think it's more like through the interactions I have with them. Like if like it has to be like if there's any tension whatsoever, I let that impact my mood in a way that is, I don't have to let it encroach on my sort of emotional, like the emotional boundary between like how I'm doing and like if there's some discomfort in whatever interaction is taking place, that's way too permeable. That's how
Okay.
I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of think we said very, very similar things just in a different way. Like, so like if they're okay and they're okay with you, then you're okay. Is that
Yeah, except it also has to do with like how I'm responding to them. Like if they do something, and it's very top of mind because I just spent 2 weeks on vacation with my partner for the first time, and I found
good?
myself in these situations where like it'd be something very normal. Like you'd be like, I'm gonna go do my own thing for a bit, and if I like felt rejected or like was I if I wanted to keep hanging out, I couldn't just like you know let that be a choice he made. I had to like internalize that as, affecting my mood, I
Okay.
guess.
Okay, I see. I see. So there was no conflict or anything. He just needed time alone, and you internalize that as there's something wrong with me and he's rejecting me or something. Okay, got it. All right. Any other comments about the boundaries card?
I think just like when you're saying the other person isn't always right, I feel like that has to include for me. I always thought that my parents were always right. And now now that I'm older, I know that they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. Um, and also other people of authority and just other people older than me. Like just because those two things are true doesn't mean what you're talking about is true.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Liz, do you want to make a comment before it's fun?
Not right this second. Thank you.
So, the the prompt for the discussion today is, and I want you to think about it for a moment. Where in your personal life do you notice yourself giving when you don't want to? And then think about what boundary might protect your energy there. So I need to think about this too. Okay, so something just came up for me. I've lived in my condo. I bought this place 17 years ago, and I was asked to be on the board of the condominium complex many times. And I finally, a couple years ago, was like, all right, when I found out it's a 3-year term, and I have served on 3-year committees before, and I'm never fucking doing that again. And it turned out somebody left after a year, so I could sign up for a 2-year term, and I was like, I'm in. And I'm like, this month, October is my last month of the 2 years. I cannot get out of there fast enough. I do not want to do it. I'm doing it only because I feel like it's my duty. And I am not one of those duty bound people. I don't care about it, but I feel like I've lived here for 17 years. There's 62 units, and half of them are occupied by the owners. So there's 31 people. Like after 17 years, I felt like an obligation. So that is something. And so the boundary that I'm doing is I told them I'm done. Like a lot of people will stay on and do it longer. I was like, no, I'm not. I told them last month, nope, not doing it. And they go, you can still come to the meetings if you're not, even if you're, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So the boundary. So where in your personal life do you notice yourself giving when you don't want to, and what boundary might protect your energy there?
I think, Barb, you had mentioned this in a podcast at some point. I've been listening to your old ones from the beginning, so I'm not caught up or anything. But I think you had mentioned like stop being the bumper in other people's cars of life or something like that. And I really do that. Like whenever, like for example, if my husband's upset at something that has nothing to do with me, like traffic or other people suck or work was heinous or something, I always feel like I have to make it better, and that I feel also that like I'm anticipating his needs and anticipating the needs of others, and I'm so focused on how other people are. It's really a safety mechanism from my childhood, but it's something that I need to work on, that focusing internally is something I need to work on.
Yeah. So can you think of a boundary that would protect your energy there that you could set? And you don't have to come up with something right now, but I want you to really think about it. If you come up with something right now, absolutely share it. But anything pop in your mind?
No.
Okay. Well, if something does, let us know. Other folks?
Um, well, mine continues to be the same one, although I've finally recognized what's going on, but has to do with my husband and my family, my dad and brothers. And I just kind of had these epiphanies the last couple of years about like how much I tried to spend time with them and do things for them, and just realizing how little they try to do the same for me. And it's been very kind of sad to recognize it. It's like, mm, anyway. So and then with my husband especially, I guess when I don't, I mean, we've talked about this a little, Barb, but I'm just trying to be more aware, and with, especially with my husband's family as well, not agree to do things that everybody thinks I should do when they don't ever do anything for me ever. And they actually do things that are kind of mean a lot of times. And then with my brother, I finally set the boundary that if he would not do at least like one sort of facilitated meeting with me, because he's very, very pro therapy. And so at some point I said, we keep saying the same things and you believe all this stuff that's not true. So why don't we can use your therapist, anybody, just, have this facilitation of a conversation. Then I don't really want to talk to him until we do that. That's been hard, because he's one of the more stubborn people. And with my dad, I just kind of I just kind of go, okay, whatever. He keeps promising he'll meet up with me. We live like an hour away for the last 4 or 5 years, and he sees my brother and his wife all the time, and he sees his wife's friend and all that, but he just can't ever seem to find time to see me. So I just kind of let it go. I'd rather just talk to him on the phone. If he says, "Oh yeah, I'm planning this," he's done that so many times, then okay, yeah, let me know. That one I kind of let go. My husband's harder because I do a whole lot for him with his health and other kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's just weird. It was just like all of a sudden in the last few years, I went, all the men in my life, I'm doing the same thing. How did I not notice this? It's interesting.
Well, I know that this is an ACA, but one of the things we say in ACA is that, coming out of denial is an enormous part of recovery. And a lot of the coming out of denial is actually seeing the patterns for what they are.
Yeah.
Seeing like trauma, seeing dysfunction as dysfunction, seeing abuse as abuse, as opposed to saying it's not that bad, or that didn't happen to me, or I can handle this, or whatever. So it sounds like you're coming out of denial about your family patterns, and it makes total sense that the men in your life that you grew up with, your dad and your brothers, are like that, and then you married a man like that. Not shocking.
Well,
That's
yeah, but they
for
it
love.
didn't used to be like that. When my mom was still around, a lot of things have changed. That's one of the hard things is that I'm holding on to the guy my husband was when I met him, and I'm holding on to the man my dad was, and my brother. They were different. They have changed, and I just couldn't get that in my head. They've changed
Yeah.
over time. My dad married an alcoholic, and um, I've just seen this pattern of, you know, the way he acts, and then my brother copies him, and then I don't know. It's weird. I'm being in a 12-step program. I'm pretty aware. I try to take accountability for my stuff, and sometimes I kept going, well, I'm the common factor. It must be me, but th- I'm looking at my stuff, so and they don't want to. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And I think your
just
your thing with your brother, where you're like, okay, if you won't do a facilitated conversation with me,
yeah,
even if it's with your therapist, that's a really good boundary. That's really good.
yeah. I know it's just, yeah, it's odd because I've tried to suggest that with my dad and him, because they're both very, very pro therapy. In fact, they don't really believe in 12 step. They believe in therapy. So, so it was just like, well, then can we use your therapist to talk about these things that we keep having stalemates about? But no.
Yeah, you can't force them.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's a good standard to have.
Yeah.
How about you, Nat and Lauren? Where in your personal life do you notice giving when you don't want to?
I I was hoping Lauren would go first.
She is driving. She did mention that she was driving. So
Oh,
wait.
okay, I missed that. Well, my health condition kind of really doesn't really allow me to do that anymore.
Okay.
I can see like a lot of shifts and changes in not doing that because I'm like so allergic to doing that now that I was almost like, I don't want to do it. It's
So your
very
body
easy for me
stepped
to
in.
say that now, like very easy.
Sorry. Say that again.
Very easy for me to say, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to be there. I'm not available.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like I have the full permission to do that. So I'm trying to think like all little things I do where I'm still doing it. But I'm like so allergic to doing that now. Like it's so uncomfortable to say yes. It's crazy. Yeah.
I like that concept of an allergy to like overdoing it, overgiving, people pleasing and stuff like that. And given that it's a health issue for you that's caused you to be able to like get permission for that, it is
Mhm.
kind of like you have developed a physical allergy. Your body kind of stepped in and set the boundary for you. And it was like, we're not doing this anymore. Like, we don't have the energy for that. So sometimes that happens. So, do you still ever have like guilt feelings or anything like that?
Um, yes, I do. Um, but I would rather have guilt than say yes to something I don't want to do. Like the guilt is less of a pain than saying yes.
Yeah. Okay. And has the guilt gotten less as you've gotten done it more, said no more frequently?
Yeah, I feel like people are finally getting used to it, and I still feel guilty, but then I'm like, this is normal. This is normal to feel it. And I'm like increasingly like, okay, feeling guilty. And like guilt is just a feeling, right? It comes and goes. So I'm like, okay, this is
Yes. Yeah.
guilty today and not guilty tomorrow. It's
Right.
fine.
Right. And it does decrease over time. And I heard a quote not too long ago that was something like the level of guilt we feel is somehow tied to like the level of self-abandonment that we've done. And so that makes total sense to me because when we start setting boundaries, we feel guilty in the beginning, but it gets easier and easier and easier because we stop abandoning ourselves so much. When we don't set boundaries and we allow people to like walk all over us or just do all the caretaking for them, we're abandoning ourselves for them and we start showing up for ourselves, we stop feeling so guilty because we get used to realizing, oh, wait, I get to be one of those people that I show up for and that I buffer from things. Like I get to have a buffer too, and I'm in charge of the buffer, and sometimes it's going to be a big, thick buffer, and sometimes it's not. I one time had somebody tell me that my boundary was a firewall, and I think he was thinking he was insulting me, and I was like, yes, I'm a firewall. I forgot you got bangs. I love them, Lauren. They look great.
Thank you.
They look great. Did you want to share anything more on that in that? Okay. How about you, Lauren? Did you want to share something about where you're giving when you don't want to?
I can, yeah. And sorry I couldn't speak up earlier, Nat. I was coming into the house, my hands were full and I couldn't unmute. So um okay, the place where I most often find myself giving and feeling resentful about it is with my dad. Um and I think the reason is because he's not really able to reciprocate. Like he's not emotionally mature enough to show up for me in the ways I would want him to as my dad. Um, and so it's like I'm caught between my sense of obligation as a daughter and like my values being, like I want to be. Um, I want to do right by my parents and have a relationship with them, but then it's hard for me to let go of the expectation that I'm going to get something in return, I guess, from my dad. So maybe a good boundary to set there is to, like, if I choose to spend time with him or do him a favor or whatever it is, just to like release, like, I need to not expect anything back and know that that's the deal. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
what comes to mind when I hear that is I just did a training the other day for a bunch of therapists and yeah, managing the expectations. And you're getting some good comments there in the chat if you haven't seen it. And she's what she called it co-parenting with an alcoholic. And I've learned a term from one of my other clients that's actually parallel parenting, not co-parenting, because they're parenting on different tracks. But um one of the like conversations we had is that like getting your expectations in alignment, like stop expecting that he's going to be different than he is. I know that's really fucking hard, but that's the key. And then one of the other things I shared with her is like it is reasonable to expect an adult man who is a father to like show up on time, do what he says he's going to do, and parent responsible. That's a reasonable expectation in the world. But for that dude, totally unrealistic expectation because he's proven to you, you've divorced him, right? He's proven to you he is not healthy fathering material. So stop expecting that from him. So we can have expectations that in general are quite reasonable. But when it comes to the individual person we're talking about, they're not, they're unrealistic. So it's reasonable to expect a dad to do dad things. But if your dad has never done dad things, not realistic. And that distinction between reasonable and unrealistic, very that was very helpful to me. Like I wanted my boss to like show up on time and do what the fuck she said she was going to do. And for 19 years, or well, 17 years, I was mad because she didn't do that. And I started being like, oh, might be reasonable in the world, but and those are those are expectations I have for me. But when I'm holding those expectations for her, it's killing me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that idea that distinction makes a lot of sense. And I think if I really go into each situation, like pause and evaluate, like I'm being asked to do this thing, I need to recognize that it is unrealistic to expect it to go a certain way, or that, I'm going to get some kind of gratification or whatever it is.
Hmm.
Like to sit with, like, really just weigh that better so that I can decide if I really want to do something. Because I think I just kind of give in to, like, he has very effective pressure tactics. Like it's like he wouldn't just, he doesn't know he's being manipulative, but he is when you know, he says stuff like, "I miss you," when we saw each other a few days ago, and, you know, like,
Mhm.
so,
Yeah. So
yeah, I need to just
I heard a priest say one time the reason our families can push our buttons is because they installed them. So that's why his pressure tactics work so well because he installed them. And I just
yeah,
thought that was like such a good metaphor. They installed the buttons. They know how to find them, even if they're in
totally.
places. Do we have a same Catholic? That's so funny. Okay, well, now I want to lead you in a grounding practice. So if you could, this will just be a couple moments. If you could like sit in a position where you feel really supported physically, comfortably. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, go ahead and close your eyes. If not, just lower your gaze. If you're seated, like really feel your butt in the seat. And if your feet are on the floor, just acknowledge, like, my feet are on the floor. Maybe roll your shoulders back and take a nice deep breath through your nose and then exhale longer through your mouth. At least once, maybe a couple of times. And I'm going to say something a couple of times and I want you to repeat it in your head. And I want you to allow this thought to reverberate in your body. And it's this: my needs matter. My needs matter. My needs matter. And just continue to say that to yourself in your head and see where it goes in your body. All right, why don't you take another nice deep breath? And whenever you're ready, open your eyes, your gaze. Okay. So now it's just open sharing time. So you can share about anything that's come up for you so far, a personal boundary that you could use assistance with, what happened when you just said that mantra, where it showed up in your body, or anything that came up for you.
My immediate thought, which is terrible, but I completed the sentence saying after others' needs.
Mhm. So that's programming, Elena. And so programming can be changed, right? You weren't born that way. So that's good that you hear it and see it and that you think that it's not good, right?
Yeah.
If you thought that was good, I'd be afraid for you, right?
No. Yeah.
Because the fact that you know that that's not good, right? And it's not true. Like, you deserve to have your needs met just as everybody else does. And the good news is when you start setting boundaries, your needs will be met way more, partially by you by setting boundaries, but also because you'll start learning how to actually ask for what you need. And some people might fade away, but when you get better at boundaries, you start attracting more people that are give and takers, not just people who are takers, you know?
Yep.
And you will find also, my guess is you will find there are some people who've always wanted to give to you, but you wouldn't let them. So then those relationships will balance out.
You don't know me.
Yeah. Yeah. But learning, yeah, keep coming back here because, this, and I think given that you just started a new job this week, this is the time to set those boundaries because they don't know you any other way. And you'll be amazed at how, and also feel free, like if something comes up, put something in the Telegram chat. Like, I don't know how to handle this, or I'm freaking out. I should set a boundary and I can't do it. Anything like that. Feel free to put that kind of stuff in the chat so we can be supportive of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That is cool to be able to sort of reinvent yourself. Sometimes we do it through geographics, but a job, that's better. A new job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what's come up for people? Insights, coaching you need, support.
I just
Any-
noticed when you said, where was it in your body or something? I just noticed it was down in my lower gut or something like that. And it just felt sad. I think that's where I've gotten in the last year or two, is just like recognizing some stuff and thinking that I was different, thinking that I was like this strong person like my mother, that feisty and had boundaries and all that kind of stuff, and then sort of recognizing that a lot of this was very subtle and gradual and happened over time, and I didn't really notice it until I got to a point where I was just like, what what the heck. It's just so weird when you're able to step outside yourself and look at your behavior and others behavior. And yeah, it's disturbing, but it's at least it lays the groundwork for change.
Yeah. When you just said that, you said it's disturbing. I'll tell you, when I realized I was codependent. So some of you have heard this story, but this is 10 years ago, 10 and a half years ago. I'm in therapy. I'm talking about my homeless friend, Dan, that I allowed to stay at my house
Mhm.
with my therapist. And I'm in the middle of a sentence. I stopped and I went, oh my God, do you think I need Al-Anon? And she said, yes. So I went home looking for Al-Anon on Google and I came across the word codependent. And I was like, what the fuck? How is it possible this concept exists and I don't even know about it? And as I was learning about it, I said to my therapist, what the fuck else don't I know about myself? Like, how is this possible? I've been in therapy for 37 years. I've read all the fucking self-help books. I'm one of the most introspective people I've ever met. I take every personal quiz that
Yep.
there is. And I said to her, I don't feel like I got hit in the head with a baseball with this news. I feel like I got hit in the head with a planet. What the fuck?
Mm.
And I was so taken aback because I'm like, this is a giant thing that I didn't know. What else don't I know? And she said, Barb, I think for you, codependence is a unifying concept that pulls together a whole bunch of things that you probably did know about yourself. You just didn't realize that they were related. And I originally thought she was just saying that to be nice. And as time went on, I realized that, that it was probably true. And what I now know is really the core issue is trauma. And for me, the main result of trauma is the codependence. But it was super disconcerting.
Mm.
Be like, holy shit. And then to start unpacking it and realize I'm not a giving person because I'm nice, because that's what I thought. I'm a giving person because I need you to fucking like me or
Yeah.
approve of me anyway. And
Mhm.
that was like, oh, and then I found out I was a manipulative, people-pleasing liar. And I was like, oh my God. And then I luckily learned about info, not ammo. This is info, not ammo. And this came from somewhere. Like in the AA literature, they talk about let's get down to causes and conditions. Well, the causes and conditions are I'm a product of my environment. I grew up in a dysfunctional family. Of course, I'm dysfunctional. But because these are learned behaviors, we can unlearn them. And it doesn't matter how old we are. I hear you with the being like,
Well, the word that comes up for me sometimes when I look, especially like with my husband's family and stuff, it sometimes it feels pathetic almost. It's like the almost the this groveling. I mean, maybe you wouldn't immediately look at it like that, but it just like, please accept me, please include me, please like me. Um, yeah, it makes me sad.
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad. And we get to change and we get to use that sadness as a motivation to do something different, like to stop going to the hardware store for milk and start going to the grocery store for milk, you
Yeah.
know? And it's so easy when you hear don't go to the hardware store for milk to be like, duh. But when you say like don't go to your dad for dad things when he's never given you dad things. But it's like, but I want him to be, and this is what dads are supposed to do. But we don't go, oh, the hardware store should have milk. I wanted to have milk. We don't do that. It's like somehow that translation doesn't work when it comes to humans because we just want them to be who we want them to be. And it's
Mhm.
one of the hardest lessons in the world. This is why the serenity prayer is so popular because that wisdom to know the difference between the things we can and cannot change is life changing. When we can really figure that out and then change the things we can, you know, and accept the things we can't.
And just I'll just add one more thing. I think what has been extra hard for me is like he, especially my dad, but they actually were different when I was growing up. They were healthy and giving, and so it's just it's beyond disconcerting. It's like,
Yeah.
and I've even talked to my dad and brother a little bit about like if mom were here, she'd be like kicking you guys ass. I've said it actually nicer than that, but I'm like, what happened? But they don't, just like I didn't see it, they don't see it. It's that whole, when you're inside the jar, you can't see the label thing. So, which is why I was hoping to get, a therapist sort of involved at least a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. This is an interesting journey. That's for sure.
Sure. Well, we only have a couple minutes left. I want to make sure if anybody hasn't shared something that they want to share, that they have the opportunity to do that. Go ahead, Nat.
I have some exciting news.
Okay.
Um, my two most challenging people, my mom and my brother, they always like want to get together and hang out. And I've been like avoiding them. And then I told my brother actively, like, hey, until we sort out our relationship, I don't want to hang out with you. So that was some time ago. And then recently he reached out. He's like, you're my sister. I want to have a good relationship with you. I'm open to seeing like a therapist who can help us work through it. I'm like, oh, nice. But
Wow.
I'm not ready.
Okay.
But I'm
But
happy.
that's great that he's willing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Wow. That's wonderful.
And he wanted nothing to do with me the past 10 years. Nothing.
Interesting. So that just made me realize, I think I, s- so the last time we met, I hadn't seen I actually saw my brother for the first time in 5.5 years. We have reunited. And it is unfucking believable. I talked to him on a Monday for the first time in 2 or 3 years, and it was so good. And then that Saturday, I was going to go to a wedding, and for a variety of reasons, I didn't go, and I had the whole day. So I called him and I was like, whatever. I was like, can I come and see? Like, I initiated it, and it was amazing and life changing. And we were super honest and open and vulnerable with each other. And it's not that we never have been, but not like this. This was like some fucking truth. Like we both basically made amends to each other and we laughed and we cried and we reminisced and we had a little bit of fun and it was just like amazing. And then the other day I was driving and I called him because I felt like it. And I'm like, who am I? And we had yet another super vulnerable conversation that was just like I wasn't capable of because I was so protecting myself from him, so I wish you all the best, Nat, and I hope you're able to work something out with him that works for both of you, you know.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Let's see.
Yeah, I will say, so I saw him on a Saturday. Monday, a couple days later, I had a very rough day and I figured out my inner children are like, we're scared shitless of him. So I basically was like, I have this fortress of solitude. It's a castle made out of ice, and that's where they're going to be when my brother's around. So they get to go to the fortress of solitude and they don't have to be with my brother. So, but it took me a few hours to figure out what was going on because I was just like a mess. And it felt like I'm literally being rearranged because I'm 62. He's been my brother for 62 years. I have a 62-year pattern and it's shifting. So, it's all shifting for the good, but it's still different, you know.
Do you know if he did any work himself or it
Yeah.
was
Oh,
already?
absolutely. Yeah. So he got into trauma therapy and a social worker and has come out of isolation, and yeah, he's doing some serious work. But he was basically dry drunk, untreated adult child, social anorexic, not doing any of the work. And luckily, a friend of ours went to go visit him. And basically, what my brother said was he read me the riot act. He was like, "What the fuck are you doing, Steve?" Because my brother's house was going up for auction because he hadn't paid the taxes. And he actually ended up being able to sell it as opposed to going for auction and got way more money than he ever anticipated.
Oh, that's great.
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like unbelievable. Yeah. Well, I'd love to hear what's your biggest takeaway? And then if you're willing to commit to any kind of a courageous action before our next meeting, I'd love to hear that. Bueller.
I do have one thing to say, but it's more of like a comment to be funny. But Barb, in your is family boundaries like a month, December maybe
Yeah.
family?
Mhm.
I think your workshop needs that month needs to be daddy issues for all of us, evidently.
Okay.
Right.
Also mommy issues. Yeah. 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 That's good. All right. Well, if there are no comments, I want to
Quick
give you.
comment.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So, looking for to model healthy behaviors in relationships and families. Do you know any movies that kind of show this like healthy dynamics in families or friendships?
I watched the Hallmark Channel, and there is a lot of healthy behavior there in the Hallmark movies, but there's also some unhealthy behavior. So the healthy behavior is when people break up, they're open and honest with people and they tell them the truth and they don't go, "You motherfucker." But the way that they make the movies go is that there's always a conflict, which is typically a misunderstanding by people not communicating directly. So, but a movie, I'd have to think about that. There's probably not a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, but if anybody thinks of one, go ahead and put it in, or if you happen to watch one, put it in Telegram and we'll.
Isn't that funny? We can't think of anything.
I remember a friend of mine a few years ago, a friend of mine in ACA wanted to come up with like the most codependent song ever playlist. And everybody was like throwing songs at her because there's so many codependent songs. I personally think the song Grenade by Bruno Mars, like, basically I would die for you. I would take
Mm.
fall in a grenade for you,
All right.
take a blade for you, all that kind of stuff. And
And
you
what the
and you
police
wouldn't do the
song?
same.
I'll be watching you. What was
Yeah,
that?
that's pretty creepy. That's really creepy. Well, I do want to leave you with one visual to take with you, and that is, I talked about at the beginning, we're Haven lights, we are our own lights and lights for each other. I want you to take this idea of you're going to carry your boundary lantern with you into the week going forward and shine light on where you need to or would like to have better boundaries, especially if you gave an example here tonight of where you could do better with personal boundaries, and then whatever that boundary is that you mentioned setting that would help you protect that energy. And on that note, I will let you all go and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye now.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.